Welcome to my workshop and this video of how I mount a BCD bracket from my mounting system onto a side mount BCD having a web waistband, in this case an SMS 75 from Hollis. This is set up essentially the way it comes from the store, although I have modified the bungees at the top so that there's no snap bolts and the bungees are always accessible. The first thing I do is remove the waistband from the shoulder harness arrangement and the BCD bladder. And then in order to get the tightening straps out of the way, I reverse the shoulder harness snap. This will end up putting the tightening straps underneath the waistband, still available, but out of the way. Because I dive in cold water in the St. Lawrence in Canada, I add a non-removable weight pocket between my back and the bladder. I've used it for a number of years and don't find any issues with weights being back there as needed. Then feed the waistband through a separate tri-glide, the first side of the BCD bracket, back through the tri-glide. Because I have a not too chubby waist, I'm able to put the BCD bladder mounting ring inside the BCD bracket in order to keep the bladder close to the BCD bracket. I then mount a second non-removable weight pocket that will fit inside the BCD bracket. And lastly, take the custom tri-glide from the shoulder harness and weave that through the second side of the BCD bracket, keeping everything snug. This way the shoulder harness also tends to better support the weight of cylinders. And there we have it. Because I'll also be demonstrating the mounting of an auxiliary deco bottle onto this bracket, what I'm playing with at the moment is just a short bungee with a knob in order to facilitate handling. And I'm going to use that in place of a snap bolt to secure the auxiliary tank's valve, as you'll see in a little bit. The nice thing about doing it this way is that it's easily removable when I'm not needing a deco bottle. But what I do believe is that this brings the auxiliary cylinder valve closer to my chest than would be otherwise available with a snap bolt. As far as mounting and dismounting cylinders, this is the standard cylinder bracket that would be used for the primary cylinders. And what you would do is hold the cylinder sideways, present this lobe of the what we call the open-ended oval, and then rotate the cylinder into position. And that way, as long as the cylinder is upright relative to your torso, it can't come out. And in order to take it out, you have to rotate the cylinder again into an angle. What keeps it locked up here is the cylinder valve being locked or kept in place with the bungees at the top. The new auxiliary cylinder bracket is this little guy. He has a hook at the bottom and then basically a locking device at the top, albeit a very simple one. Once mounted on the cylinder, this auxiliary cylinder bracket fits into the end of the BCD bracket with the hook, and then you position this little guy lower than the outside edge of the BCD bracket to keep the cylinder from moving upwards. It is easy, by mistake, to hook this in, have that come across the top, and there's nothing holding things together. So this must be underneath. And again, This little bungee will hold the cylinder valve in position, which keeps this from moving. Now I'll demonstrate with real cylinders. Welcome to the second of two videos regarding the installation and use of my BCD brackets. Firstly, you'll notice that the tightening straps for the shoulder harnesses are nicely out of the way but still accessible. Secondly, you'll notice that the BCD brackets are angled somewhat towards one another on a going forward basis. That makes mounting and dismounting the primary cylinders much easier. Next, you'll notice that even with a fully inflated BCD, there's no encumbrance to the opening of the BCD bracket for the cylinder bracket. Similarly, the standoff of this small shelf is such that there's no interference imposed by wetsuits or dry suits. Here's a standard aluminum 80 with a cylinder bracket installed using web waistband. It can also be installed using a standard stainless steel hose clamp. As noted in the previous video, it's easier if you angle the cylinder, present the first lobe in, rotate, and there you have it. Although I'm using a bungee cord here, it's not necessary to use this particular installation for the cylinder. Any arrangement for snap bolts that you prefer is just fine. With respect to the auxiliary cylinder, I find that it's easier on land at least to mount the auxiliary cylinder first because it needs to have some space between the thigh and primary cylinder. I expect that in the water, when gravity is not an issue, that we can mount or dismount either cylinder first. You'll notice this is my deco bottle with a small auxiliary bracket mounted with stainless steel hose clamp. It just clips in, up, and secured. Similarly, the second cylinder is mounted. It's as simple as that. Thank you for watching.